My name is Harrison Caldwell. I am 70 years old. 6 months after burying my wife, I walked into my garage and found her 1967 Shelby GT500, the car she spent 25 years restoring my hand. Gone. My own son had sold it that same morning to fund his wife's trip to Paris and told me to get over it. An hour later, a classic car dealer called me with something my wife had hidden inside the door panel before she died. Before I tell you what happened next, please hit like and subscribe. Drop your city and local time below. I love knowing where you're listening from. Now let me take you back to a marriage built on cold chain trucks and stolen glances at a garage full of wool and leather, and the woman who saw our son more clearly than I ever did, Diana, and I were married 42 years. I built Caldwell Cold Chain Logistics from a single rented delivery truck into a 400-vehicle fleet across the Midwest. She served as our chief financial officer for 30 years. A mind that operated like a steel trap, an intuition for deception that bordered on supernatural. Her real passion lived in our garage, a 1967 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500, night mist blue with white racing stripes. For 25 years she sourced original parts from across the globe, restoring every inch with her own hands. That car was not metal and rubber. It was a piece of her soul. Our son Preston is 38, living in a glass-heavy house 3 blocks away that I helped him buy. He married Monica 3 years ago, a woman who never met a luxury brand she did not feel entitled to. Since Diana passed 6 months ago, I went to that garage every single morning just to smell the oil and leather, just to feel close to her. That Tuesday morning, I opened the garage door and found the space empty. Only a fresh oil drip remained on the concrete. No broken windows, no alarm triggers. Someone had used the master key. Only Preston and my estate manager had that access. And my estate manager was in Florida. I called Preston immediately, over airport terminal announcements. He told me casually he had sold the car. Mom is gone, Dad. He said, why are you hoarding a piece of scrap metal? Monica has been severely depressed lately. She needed a trip to Paris to clear her head. Get over it, Dad. The line went dead before I could respond. I sat at my desk doing the math. A first-class Paris trip might cost $40,000. That Shelby was appraised at $350,000 just a year earlier. Preston was arrogant. But he was not stupid enough to sell a car worth that much for a fraction of its value simply for plane tickets. Something larger was happening beneath the surface of his lie. My phone rang before I could call my attorney. It was Victor Rollins, a classic car dealer and old friend of Diana's. Your son dumped the Shelby here 2 hours ago, demanding a quick cash wire. He told me. I put a 20 for our hold on the funds. I knew Diana would never let that car go for a joyride. Then his voice dropped. Harrison, forget the wire transfer. Your son didn't just dump a car here. Diana left something hidden inside the door cavity. You need to see this yourself. I drove to his warehouse in silence, thinking about Diana, thinking about how a woman with a calculating mind would never hide something inside her most prized possession unless it was a weapon, an insurance policy. At the warehouse, the passenger door panel had been carefully removed. Inside a fireproof, waterproof bag were a USB drive and a folded piece of Diana's parchment stationery. The date at the top of the letter was 14 days before her fatal heart attack. The letter began, Harrison, if you are reading this, it means I am gone, and it means our son took the bait. She had intentionally left a pre-signed blank title hidden in the glove box, a deliberate test of Preston's greed the moment she was no longer there to stop him. If this letter is in your hands right now, you have your definitive answer. I wish this had gone differently. I wish our son had honored his mother's legacy the way she deserved. instead of treating her death as an opportunity to cash in a blank check within 6 months. But wishes do not undo the fact that he did not hesitate, did not mourn, simply saw an opening. The truth does not. The letter continued, warning that this was not simply about a stolen car. Preston, she wrote, is actively funding a betrayal that will systematically destroy everything we built together. The USB drive contained 6 months of investigation she had compiled before her health failed. Banking records she feared she would run out of time to bring to me directly. That night, alone in my study, I plugged the USB drive into a secure computer and reviewed everything Diana had gathered: wire transfers, account discrepancies, a pattern of financial behavior from Preston that had nothing to do with a simple luxury vacation and everything to do with a much larger drain on the family trust she had been quietly tracking for months before her death. Just before midnight, I called Rachel Thorne, my attorney, and instructed her to begin freezing every account Preston had access to, based entirely on the evidence Diana had left behind. 12:03 in the morning. I am 70 years old. I am, for the first time in 6 months, no longer simply a grieving widower absorbing his son's disrespect in silence across the city. Preston was almost certainly still confident his Paris explanation had settled the matter completely, with no idea his own mother had tested his greed from beyond the grave and documented exactly what she found. Rachel froze every trust account Preston had access to within days, using Diana's documented evidence as the foundation for a formal legal challenge to his continued financial support. The stolen asset dispute over the Shelby moved forward simultaneously. Victor's 24-hour hold on the wire transfer giving us exactly the window needed to reclaim the car legally before any funds ever reached Preston's account. Preston called me repeatedly once he realized what was happening, his voice carrying none of the casual confidence from that airport terminal. I told him plainly that his mother had already answered every question he thought he could still explain his way out of. He looked at me the way he always had, expecting the quiet, grieving father who would eventually forgive anything to keep the peace. I was not that man anymore, and I had not been since the moment I read Diana's letter. Diana spent 30 years teaching me that liabilities do not announce themselves loudly, they hide quietly until someone with a sharp enough eye knows exactly where to look. I always thought that lesson belonged only to corporate ledgers. I understand now she meant it for our own family as well, and she saw our son's true nature more clearly than I ever allowed myself to. Preston's access to the family trust remains frozen pending full review of everything Diana documented. The Shelby has been returned to my garage, its door panel restored exactly as Victor found it daughters from me. I still go out to that garage every morning, and now I know she left more than her soul inside that car. I think about her handwriting every time I open that glove box now. And I think she protected this family long after she was gone, in the one way she knew for certain I would eventually find it. If you have ever discovered that someone you trusted completely had been quietly building a case against betrayal all along, I want to hear your story. Tell me in the comments. And if this one moved you, subscribe to Dad's Revenge Tales. There is more where this came from.